Dave DeWalt, founder and CEO of NightDragon. It's great to see you again. Thanks for joining me. What is on the mind, or what should be on the minds of federal agency people, given the threats that we're seeing escalating really exponentially from nation-state actors penetrating systems all across the government, still this many years into trying to build stronger cyber defenses?
First of all, thanks for having me. Great to see you again as well. And boy, I think this is my 25th year or so in the world of cybersecurity. Feels like 100 years sometimes, watching the threat landscape evolve. As you know, I was CEO of FireEye and Mandiant and McAfee and all these different companies, had a front row seat to a lot of things. Wow, the last year has been interesting. I mean, the threat environment by nation states has escalated dramatically. We tracked Chinese intrusions for the last 2 decades, and it's like a steady climb kind of problem. But over the last 12 months, we've seen a 200% increase in directly attributable nation-state attacks by China. And this is very specific because you start to look at the sophistication of these attacks and the breadth of the campaigns, and you start to see a new kind of directive that is really occurring. And these, what we call APT campaigns, are pretty substantial, advanced persistent threat campaigns. We've seen them as it related to Salt Typhoon, Volt Typhoons. I call them all the typhoons. We've seen a large amount of activity related to now Microsoft's platform just recently in the last couple of days with SharePoint. But this is all really just a culmination now of this perfect storm that we're seeing, Francis. It's technology inertia going faster and faster, throw geopolitical tensions on top of this. You have this massive attack surface, a lot of vulnerabilities, and now we have thousands of attacker groups. And not just directly attributed to nation states like the MSS or the PLA, 3PLA in China, but now proxy organizations from these nation states as well, doing ransomware attacks or other types of, I hate to call it mischief, but because it's really aggressive. But now we have thousands of groups. So you look at thousands of groups, and from a federal and government point of view, you have to be good every single day because you can't let one attack through. And it is a very difficult environment we're living in right now.
The thing that you said there that strikes me as the most probably the fastest way for somebody to try to close that loop is reducing the threat surface. Is that a fair read on my part, or is that futile given the avalanche of attacks the way that you laid them out there?
Absolutely. I mean, you think about over the last 20 years or so, the attack surface just grew, right? And with IPv4 to IPv6, we have all kinds of IoT devices connected to our networks. We've got, humans, we got agents, we got RPAs, we got all this stuff. The more you can reduce that, the better. So hence, FedRAMP and the ability to create cloud services, create certifications of security around those cloud services creates a lower attack surface, smaller attack surface, which is a good thing. However, if that attack surface gets breached, it can also cause many, many customers to get breached at the same time. So now we have not just the importance of the cloud providers being really, really secure, we have to also make sure they're really, really resilient. And one of the issues we've seen in the last year was outages with a lot of these cloud providers. And when they go down, they bring thousands of customers down with them. And many of them are critical infrastructure and government as well. So how do we create operational resilience and security resilience and get that right? Because that's the combination that's really creating a lot of havoc right now.
So, but I recall a conversation 3-4 years ago with a CISO in the federal government talking about what was going on at his agency. And he said, I'm hung up on compliance issues and authorities to operate and things like that. And I don't spend nearly the amount of time that I should on ensuring that my networks are actually secure. And I'm getting farther behind rather than closing the loop between me and the bad guys. Do you have a sense that that is getting better, worse, neutral in the federal government? And what are the things that agencies can do to set compliance aside and go, yeah, we really just need to make sure that our networks are more secure today than they were yesterday?
So you've kind of asked, is it getting better or worse, right? So we'll start with, I think the optimistic side of that is it's getting better. Because in many cases, we're now seeing these accelerated ATO processes, these real cloud ramp solutions that have already been certified that allow vendors to come onto their platform, accelerate for a fraction of the cost at a fraction of the time. And this is really good because the world is creating a lot of innovation right now. The governments need it, especially in AI, especially in quantum, especially in agentic areas. This is really important for cost savings and risk reduction. So we're seeing the speed to certification and compliance improving. However, the flip side of that is a lot of the code now is generated by AI. This isn't humans writing code anymore. We can now generate code every minute of the day using AI tools. So how do we secure autonomous code writing where we'd have to FedRAMP all the time and create a continuous kind of model to authenticate compliance? And there goes the tricky part of the tough problem is, yeah, we're getting faster to get one-time results for certification and compliance, but now the automation of code delivery, cloud solutions is constant, dynamic. And so we need better ways to do this. And the good news is the technology is coming in a way that can create autonomy of both writing code and defending code. So the next generation security operations centers or SOCs are autonomous. So now we can start to create self-healing mechanisms for being able to do fast process management related to a breach or a vulnerability, but it's a race. You know, the bad guys are moving really, really fast. The good guys got to move really faster. And it's a good news, bad news scenario.
Dave, it's always great to catch up with you. Thanks for your insight today.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.